The Stage Door Show, celebrating the independent artist. With your host, Dave Hondell.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Stage Door Show. Tonight, this is Dave Hondell. Our guests tonight are a father and son duo who are part of a multi-generational family of actors, stuntmen, producers, and directors. They just had a movie release on Christmas entitled Kangaroo Kids, and it's a huge honor to have them both with us tonight. So welcome, Branscombe and Fairai Richmond. Thank you both for being with us tonight, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. I know we were talking before we started recording, but first of all, this movie, Kangaroo Kids, I just watched it today. Just have to tell you, I love feel-good movies like that, the underdog story, and just the whole idea, just having a group of kids and, they overcome the bad guys and just love that type of movie. And, I know that family friendly movies, I think are gaining traction right now, which I think is good. We need that kind of movie in our lives right now. But, talk about that, because Fairai, you actually were you directed this. So talk about, the whole idea, where this came about and, where the idea came from.
So I was doing stunts and acting on a show called Chief of War, this Jason Momoa show here in Hawaii. And then my dad, in the middle of that, I had known about the script for Kangaroo Kids. I know that my dad had been had a project titled that, and but I didn't have anything to do with it, so I didn't really pay it much attention. I was doing a lot of my own projects and such, and then he asked me if I wanted to take a look at the script and if I might possibly want to direct it, and I didn't really get to the script until about Christmas of last year. It's just kind of a full circle thing. And then I read the script. And I really, it was written by my dad and a guy named Ryan Lieski, and I really liked a lot of it. There was the structure of it was really cool. It was a little, there were just some things that I thought I had some ideas of what I'd like to do with it, and my dad was gracious enough to say, "Hey, look, take a look at it, and maybe try and do your take." And that was the first real gift of the project, because the script originally was a little bit more, a little bit less calories than the stuff that I am attracted to. And so he said, "Look, you got 30 days. We're going to go into production on May 12th, no matter what. And so you have 30 days." So I took it, and I took many long walks, and I have two small children myself. So I watched a lot. I mean, naturally, I just watch a lot of kids movies with them. And so I watched, and I was watching little kids movies with them, and I really started to pay attention to the things that they responded to, and to the things that I was attracted to. And I'm like a big kid, so, as you can see behind me, I have a picture, I have a poster of E.T., Star Wars, and then obviously Kangaroo Kids. Yeah. And I grew up in the 80s. I was born in 1983. So I was a big fan of the early Spielberg produced and directed films that Amblin, his company, had made. Yeah. And a big fan of like Home Alone and the sort of movies that aged gracefully.
Yeah, sure.
So that, I really wanted to make something that wasn't too pinned down to a certain time, that wasn't dated, that wouldn't be dated 40 years from now, that didn't involve too much technology or things that would be dated, and really tell a universal story that could be translated into any culture, into any language, and then really have like certain archetypes that are in classic mythology, and tell kind of like a hero's journey, and really make the movie really make the characters more three-dimensional. So originally there was like a lot of like, you know, there was these thieves and they were coming to steal the kangaroo, but we really didn't know much about the thieves, right? And there was no 13-year-old lead character. There was a 13-year-old girl that existed in the script in the zoo, but she was only in like a handful of scenes, and she really didn't have too much effect on the story as a whole. And I really wanted to tell a story from the point of view of a child, and I wanted to have everybody be like a child in the movie. So even though they were thieves committing a crime, stealing this kangaroo, I really didn't want them to be like adults. I wanted them to be like how children view adults.
Right.
And for the whole thing, the whole world of the movie to feel very much like the way that the world looks when you're a child. You know, the trees are taller, the grass is greener, the sun is warmer, and everything looks a little bit more candy coated and colorful than the real world. You know, so that when adults watch the movie, they go, you know what, man, I want to live in that world. I want to be a kid again. I remember what it was like to be a child, you know? And then for children to watch it and go, I want to live in that world. You know what I mean? And show a world where the world isn't necessarily all that bad or divided or crazy. It's kind of fantastical and filled with wonder and all of that. And then take that and I tried to add some more action elements. I come from an action background. My dad doing stunts and second unit directing and stunt coordination and being on the shows that he was on. It's just natural that I grew up on, you know, my dad was on a TV show for 5 years. It was basically an action show, there's like less and less of those types of shows on TV nowadays.
Yeah.
And you know, like the A-Teams and the MacGyvers and
those were the best times on TV for me.
Oh, those are the greatest. And so I come from that. You know, I come from watching my dad throw his body off of buildings and lighting himself on fire and flipping cars and stuff. So I really wanted to add that so that there was a balance of action, humor, heart, drama, and such, you know. And I'm a huge believer in, you know, there's a classic theory and many filmmakers say this, but I'm a huge believer in, like, you know, disarming the audience with humor and then punching them with drama. Right. So if you can give them the release valve of laughter, and then you can infuse some of your philosophies and you can infuse some actual character and some drama in there. And I did, and I had some big ideas, and I changed a lot of things. I changed the girl from being just a normal girl to the daughter of the owner of the zoo. And then I thought, you know what would make her. You know, my dad said, he goes, we have to have this girl be connected to this kangaroo. And I said, well, how do you do that? And so it was really great. I was given all these challenges, you know. He said, oh, the thieves cannot be arrested. I was like, why not? He's like, they just can't be arrested. I go, okay, that's another challenge, right? So how do you make the thieves redeemable? How do you make this girl have a connection? So it was like, oh, okay, well, what if she was not the daughter? What if she was actually an orphan? And then she would respond to this kangaroo who was an orphan. So then they're two orphans. Okay, that's one thing. And then I don't want to give away the rest of it, but there was just things started to develop, and I kind of knew that we were on the right track when the ideas were all sort of meshing organically. They were working, and you know, there was certain times where my dad read the script that I wrote, and I was very proud of it. It was very long. It was much longer than the 90-page script that they had given me. I think it was 137 pages. Yeah. And he said, man, I really like this, you know. And I said, what page are you on? And he said 80. And I said, well, keep reading. And he called me back five minutes later and go, son, we're not making Die Hard 3 here, you know. And I said, we're not making Die Hard 3. It's an adventure film. It's adventure, you know. And I just feel for audiences that you need some sort of spectacle. I needed to give, in my perspective, I needed to give the audience a reason. Yeah. To say, when they watch the trailer, when they watch the marketing, when they hear people talk about the movie, I have to give them a reason to say, you have to watch this movie. You know what I mean? And that comes from I think, story, character, but also spectacle moments, spectacular moments, so that you give them some excitement in the theater.
There's one scene where Branscombe, you and the two other thieves trying to steal the kangaroo are walking slow motion towards the camera with fireworks going off in the background. That was brilliant, by the way. And was that green screen? Just curious. I don't know if you want to give that away.
That was all real. That was another challenge, right?
That was fantastic.
I had written explosions in the script, and then my dad said, "There's no way we can afford explosions, and I'm not going to get the permit for that." And then I said, "Well, then I'm going to pay for it." He said, "You can't pay for it. There's no permit." And then he said, "Well, what about fireworks? We can permit fireworks." And I thought, "Oh, you know what? That's kind of cool. Like kids movie fireworks. That seems to fit."
Apropos.
Yeah.
Branscombe.
Well, I've got a take on that. Can I?
Yeah, go absolutely. Go ahead.
So here we are in Horse Cave, Kentucky, Cave City, Barron County, Munfordville, Bonneville. Kind of paints the idea of what geographical location we are at,
sure.
and the people that come from there. So having done 10 movies there, I've been very respectful to them, and they've been wonderful to work with. They want us there. They're up and they're active and they want to be there. So now we got explosions.
Yeah.
I produced a movie with Guy Pearce in this area, and I remembered what I had to go through on the Guy Pearce movie to get explosions.
Yeah.
When I see the explosions in this thing, I call my buddy who did the explosions in the Guy Pearce movie. I said, "Read this script. How much?" He gives me a price. I go, "Can't afford you."
Yeah.
He goes, "I'll make you a deal." I go, "How much is the deal?" He tells me. I said, "I still can't afford you." So now I don't have it. So you either rewrite it, you do something else, or you do a car crash, right?
Yeah.
When in doubt, go to a car crash. In the town that we are at, there's a guy who's a fireworks vendor. And he does the thing on 4th of July. He does the thing at Christmas. He does birthday parties. He does the Amish. The Amish have a big celebration. And I say, well, let's do this. And he gives me a price. I go, double it. Right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't a special effects guy, but he could put a fireworks show on. And what he learned is hit the button so it all goes at once instead of 1,
right,
2.
Everything's got to go at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful. They were great. I won't comment anything more about that. And then us walking out of there was an added gift.
That was amazing.
Because only one actor got a firework knocked in his back.
Yeah.
So there you go. It was a loose firework. And he goes, "Hey, I think I just got hit in the butt." So there you go.
At least he's okay. Yeah.
He was okay. Yeah.
It was super safe. We had the fire department. We had the police department. We had the whole crew and the cast, and they were like a football field away underneath. It was all everything we did in this movie was
all by the books.
The mayor was there. He loved it.
It couldn't have been any safer.
Yeah, just amazing. I really enjoyed it. And Branscombe, I have to ask you this because as you're really a legendary actor, stuntman, producer. I mean, you've done so many things over your career, and and obviously, your dad was also very well known in the business, and now your son is following in your footsteps. So, as a dad, how proud of you to see that?
Oh, I'm really proud. How great is that?
It's amazing.
Absolutely, and this is not just one of one of many. So we're going to continue on Richmond Family Films and kind of see how far we can go and run down the field with as much as we can.
Absolutely. And, I also have to ask you, Branscombe, as a, a stuntman for so many years. And my wife and I were actually talking about this because I remember a scene a long time ago. You did a movie. It was Hard to Kill with Steven Seagal, and there was a chase scene and a fight scene through a marketplace. And,
I love that scene.
Yeah. I'm watching this going, how in the world can this guy do so many movies and the body is still taking these hits? And, you just got to keep yourself in shape. But how did you do that for so many years and getting thrown in garbage cans and whatever else is going on? I mean, how do you keep the body up in shape?
You better drink a lot of water, number one. And yes. And number two, you got to have a young mind. I think that's really it. I love being alive. I love doing the work. I love being there. I love creating. And sure, I mean, does my elbows, my ankles, and my hips, hurt now and then, but I'm not letting the old man in. That's the best thing I can tell. It's all attitude, and I'm lucky. I'm a lucky guy.
Yeah. Keep
so
a young
number
mind
one
as well, right?
Number one, I mean, I'm multicultural. Number one, I mean, a lot of Polynesian blood in me. But I mean, how many guys that even look like me have a shot? And
right.
It's gotten better. It's gotten
Right.
better. So this is our time. But when I was a kid, I had a hip operation, and the doctor said, "Don't do this, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that." It was everything I did in the motion picture business. You can't do that, but I did it anyway.
It was
and now my
living.
kids are doing
It's a great living, right?
it is.
Yeah, and I made my dad run in this movie, and I don't think he ran that fast in a couple of years.
Well, that was a good job. And Fairai, I just had to ask you as well, because, you've done so many things in your career so far. What are you drawn to more? I mean, are you drawn to being in front of the camera or behind the camera? What gives you the greatest pleasure?
So yeah, when I was a kid, short answer is to tell stories. That's my great passion. When I was a kid, I would grow up on set with my dad, and he was acting, mostly doing stunts, and so I naturally I liked that a lot, and then I thought, oh yeah, I want to do that, and then I really my dad let me use his camera, and I would his video camera, and I would make little movies with my toys and my brother and sister, and my brothers and my sister, and then I realized very quickly that it wasn't enough for me to I didn't want to just act in the movie. I didn't want to be the paint. I wanted to be the painter. I wanted to be the person that made the world. And that's always been the secret sauce for me. I enjoy acting, and I enjoy stunts immensely. I enjoy the rush of stunts, and the paycheck is nice as well. But if you ask me, my life's purpose, I think I was put on this planet to tell stories visually. That's what I'm good at, and that's what I love the most. I live, eat, breathe it. To have an idea, and then to get that, to write that idea down out of my head, and then to take that idea and to execute that visually, and then to share that. That's always been the thing for me. I used to do it when I was a kid. I've made hundreds of short films as a kid, and I would do Thanksgiving. Then I'd have a lot more people at the house, so I could use all my cousins and my uncles and my aunts, and then we put them in, and then after, and I would shoot it and edit it in the camera, and then after everybody ate dinner, I would show them the little movies, and that's the same thing I'm doing now, and even when I finally got a hold of my dad's camera, some days my parents would go to sleep, and I'd go to sleep, and then I'd stay up all night making movies with my toys in my room. And I have tons of little short films where I'm whispering, because it's like 3:00 in the morning, and I'm in my room.
Wake anybody up.
and then I'd go to school, and I'd be in school, and I'd just be sleeping half the time because I would be up all night, and then I just couldn't wait to get home to work on my little movies, and that really was just, I'm just doing the same thing that I did with my toys. The toys are just bigger now, and I actually have people to help me out to do it, and that's what I hope to do to the day I die. To tell you the honest to God truth, it's really just about writing, directing, executing it, and getting it, and producing it, and getting it out to people, and sharing that, and hopefully, I went through some dark times in my life, in my late teens, my early 20s, in my 20s, and movies were always that thing that was there for me to that helped me along, you know.
Your therapy. It was your therapy.
It's my therapy. It is.
Yeah.
It still is to this day. It's my therapy. If I'm stressed out or if I'm whatever, I just, you know, I put the kids to sleep and then I just tell my wife, no, I'm going to sit up and I'll watch a movie, and I'll just sit up and watch a movie by myself and immediately feel better about my place in the world. And I hope to God that what I do can do the same for other people. I hope that Kangaroo Kids can take that little, say there's an orphan child out there that watches this movie and completely relates to that character.
Absolutely.
Or a kid who feels outcast or who feels misunderstood or whatever, and watches this movie and completely relates to these kids, to these characters, and it can help them with their life, and it can be, if it just helps one person with their life, then I think what we did is worth it, because it's medicine for the soul, you know what I mean?
Well, you both knocked this out of the park, and the whole crew and everybody involved, you know, kudos to you guys, because you really did knock this one out of the park. And, you know, and I just have to turn back to you, Branscombe, because, you know, you're still making movies, you know, how many decades later? I mean, this is just incredible that, and then your son is doing it and your dad. And, you know, I just, that to me is amazing. And, you know, I guess throughout all those years that you've been doing this, what's the one thing you look back on and it makes you smile every time? Is there one moment that you've been doing this and it really touches your heart?
So next year, 2024, makes 50 years.
Wow.
Now, it seemed like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like yesterday. And I've got so many great memories of things that kind of touched my heart. I'm going to tell you a cool little story. You know, I was a young actor, and there was a big ABC movie of the week. And the director was Bill Bixby.
Wow.
Bill Bixby had me come to his office, and he goes, "Hey, I want you to read this part." In those days, you had to come in live. Right. So I read this part, and then he looked at me. He says, "Hey, I want you to play this part and just be you." Right. So I did. And then he goes, "That's it. So you're the guy." So I get this job, and here's the cast. You got Ray Bolger, June Allison, Dee Dee Khan, Rick Nelson, John Biner, Lonnie Anderson, Patrick Wayne, and Meredith McRae.
Wow, what a cast.
You had Gary Crosby in there. You had Sharon Lawrence in there.
Yeah.
You had Danny Thomas production.
Wow.
And Bill Bixby did something that I'll never forget. He said, "Branscombe, you're going to share a dressing room with Ray Bolger."
Wow.
Now,
iconic
actor.
Yeah.
It wasn't clicking who Ray Bolger was. And he was the straw man.
Yep. Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
Absolutely.
And I just, and Bill Bixby said, "Just listen to him."
Yeah.
Just listen to him. And every day I got movie magic out of guys like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then on Magnum, I got to work with Frank Sinatra.
Wow.
And you spend a whole day with a guy like that. You know what I mean? Then I did Cannonball Rally too. And I'm with Hal Needham, and I'm with Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. And I'm with Joe Theismann, right? I mean, guys like that. So to me, the guys that had experience was something to listen to, you know, and kind of glom onto a little bit. When I first met The Rock, he was a young, just coming in guy. He had just done the Mummy. Right. So, you know, he kind of said, "Hey, any tricks of the trade?" I go, "Yeah, man, just listen and save your money."
Yeah, listen. Yeah,
save your money. Save your money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so those are the things that have touched my heart. Yeah. You know, I did Mutiny on the Bounty with Marlon Brando as a kid, and I saw him take care of those maybe not as well off as he.
Sure.
He shared the wealth. He tried to make everybody's day.
Yeah.
And that for me is what kind of turns me on.
Yeah, and
Make people's
I
day.
can tell you both are like that, and just it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have people on my show that are giving human beings, because humans are humans, regardless if you're an
Yeah.
actor, singer, or whatever. And just to hear these stories and to chat with you off the air, and just great guys. And I appreciate, like I said, appreciate the time that you've given me in my podcast to come on and talk about these stories. And the one thing I do want to ask you the both, we'll start with you, Fairai, but the evolution of Hollywood, because I want your dad to get in on this as well, but the evolution of Hollywood over the past several years. I remember being a kid, going to the theater, buying a ticket, getting popcorn, something to drink, and really enjoying that cinematic experience. And now it seems with the streaming platforms, which is great, there's nothing wrong with it, but the evolution of Hollywood, have you seen it change? And is it changing for the positive, or is it changing? Do we want to see some of these elements back from when we were kids, I guess? Because it seems like the theatrical experience is it's not what it used to be. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we are human beings, and we have, that's what separates us from animals, right? We invent things, we tell stories, and that's what basically what separates us, right?
Yeah.
And so you say, oh, these streaming services, or AI, or all these things, right? But you got to remember, with the advent of the radio, right? You could say, oh, okay, my child is on the phone all the time, right? Well, when they invented the radio, you had groups of people huddled around the radio listening to the news, right? Then they have the television. You have groups of people huddled around a television, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure that when they made the wheel, that changed everything, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, in one night, what is the Ford Motor Co., right? Went from changing the world of horse and buggy, and literally overnight, the horse manufacturing, buggy manufacturing companies went out of business immediately, and everything changed. Cars. So things have changed, but I think it has brought it. I just try to. I'm very optimistic about the world. It's brought serious advantages to everything streaming. It has given more possibilities for us as filmmakers and creators. It's given us more avenues to tell stories. It's given us a larger audience to tell stories, right?
True.
No, yeah, okay. So our theater sales dwindling? You could say this, yeah. But I mean, if you go on let's say you go we just went on a plane ride to France, right? Every last soul on that plane was consuming entertainment for that 10, 11-hour trip, right? They were just going through one TV show after one movie after the next, on their phones, on their iPads, on the screens that the airline provides, right? There's no more, the power of storytelling and filmmaking is no more relevant than it is today, right? Look at the pandemic. What did everybody do? They buckled down, they got in their homes, and they consumed everything that they could of entertainment, right? It was the saving grace of that time, right? Yeah. And so I think it's a huge advantage for filmmakers, because it shows that we are super valuable. And I think that on the flip side, conversely, for theaters, I think if you look at Barbie and you look at Oppenheimer and you look at Avatar and other examples, people still need the communal experience, right? There's still something magical about going to a theater and sharing a community experience with each other.
Yeah.
That was another thing that the pandemic showed, right? Once everything opened up, people just wanted to be around each other. People wanted to be at concerts. People wanted to go to the movies. People wanted to go out to restaurants, right? We are a social being, right? We need each other. Yeah. So I don't think that the theater experience will ever die. I think it's just being changed and being remolded into something different, and maybe movies with a little less calories maybe won't be in theaters, and that maybe will be more towards more for streaming, and maybe more spectacle type movies will be in the theaters, or who knows, you could look at examples right now. The new Aquaman movie, a lot of these new blockbuster movies, especially these superhero movies that aren't doing as well as they were, because people are getting a little bit more fatigued of that sort of experience, right? Of just this huge superhero experience. So some kid might come along and tell a smaller story and totally change the game, and show that reinvent what's happening, just like how the Western movie kind of and the period like Cleopatra type of dramas, right? Those kind of had their place, and then they went away. And look at a movie like Joker. Joker was a rated R movie, like very hardly any action, pretty low budget for an intellectual property like that. $1 billion at the box office, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
There is still a space for those types of movies, and there's a space for other types of movies and television shows. And I think there's more space for everyone now. And I think it's a really great time to be a filmmaker.
Yeah, that's very well said. And your thoughts on that, Branscombe?
70% of all content's on your personal device.
Absolutely.
Your phone,
absolutely.
your iPad, your smart TV. I will say this about the theater. Don't be surprised if the streaming networks start to purchase more theaters. So they're purchasing them now, right?
Yeah.
But they can premiere a movie that's on their streaming platform that's also premiering at a theater that they have the subscription to.
Right.
You can also go to the movie theater and see it there.
And the quality is what 16K now, or whatever it's up to.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. Yeah.
So there's nothing, having seen Kangaroo Kids on the big screen, it's wonderful.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
You're not going to get the experience that we had in the theater at home. I mean, you're going to get a version of that, but to have 100 people in a theater laughing together, enjoying each other's time, crying together. I mean, there were women saying that there was women and men crying next to them and laughing next to them, and little kids were cheering. I mean, I don't know if
you
I don't
can't
know
put
if
a
that'll
price
ever
on
go
that.
away.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, let me I want to continue down that streaming road for 1 second. So for me, it's accessibility. Do you know what I'm trying to say? I'm saying, how does one have accessibility to the content made by the filmmakers? We know that the major studios have an advantage over independent filmmakers. And Sunstream, and I want to say SUNN Stream, Sunstream, who gave us the rope to go ahead and create something to make Kangaroo Kids, took a shot on us. What I will also say is what a blessing that was, because as we went on, I ended up being the chairman of the board of Sunstream.
Wow.
So, yeah. So what does that mean? I need to define that a little bit.
Yeah.
What that means is maybe I have the opportunity and the knowledge to steer a streaming network down a certain path,
right,
to see what John Q. Public would like to enjoy and what many people have their interests in.
Sure.
You know, we're at a time where inclusion is so important.
Yep.
And I hope to include everybody. You know, it's not about race, but it's about everyone getting along and to have a peaceful journey together, and to include everybody. You know,
we know it can happen, and it should happen, right? Absolutely.
Exactly. And I'm not here to play politics. I'm just trying to make it a happy, peaceful place. And and that's what I'm grateful for, the streaming side. You will see streaming networks purchasing theaters. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's already, I don't want to give it away, but it's already that. And you're going to see other major streaming platforms merging.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So that it all becomes kind of this big ball of fragmented show business.
Right.
Everybody glomming together. So right now, being a person of color, the accessibility to those who may want to know something about themselves or about their grandmothers or people that they don't know, they have accessibility to that on their personal device. I'll tell you what was wonderful for me. I've got people. So you play video games. You play video games?
Occasionally I do.
Okay, so I do voiceovers for Apex.
Yeah.
So I do the voice for Apex Legends.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so I'm Gibraltar. So here's
Awesome.
a guy who is a Polynesian character, and he's kind of a superhero on a game. 150 million people play that thing.
Yeah.
150 million. And I get kids coming up to me and they go, "Hey, you're Gibraltar. Hi. You look like me." You see what I mean?
Right. How powerful is that?
How it's so powerful. And
Yeah.
then you get the kid who I don't look like.
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, you're Gibraltar. I love playing Gibraltar." So there you go. You made somebody's day.
Right.
And it's just a little extra special when someone that can identify, like, wow, maybe I can be like him when I grow
could be
up.
like him one day. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep.
And they're saying that to my son Fairai too.
Yep.
If a kid wants to be a filmmaker who lives on a Polynesian island or the depths of Los Angeles where I grew up, who's trying to figure a way to get out and get into something that's going to pay his bills, he's got a shot at it. He's just got to believe in himself and have the faith that whatever he's trying, like maybe even a podcast, that he can author his voice.
Yeah.
And I think for me, that's what it is for me.
Yeah.
So as chairman of the board of Sunstream, ladies and gentlemen,
SUN.
we hope to entertain you. And along the way, if we make you feel great, wonderful. And if maybe we've, you learned a little something, I believe I want to entertain them first before I teach anybody anything. But I just want them to see another vision of what may be different in their life and what their historical backgrounds are of their ancestors.
100%. That's so well said. And I want to, before we go, I want to ask this one question, because we have a lot of indie artists, themselves that are listening to this show, whether they're filmmakers or whether they're actors, singers, and, briefly for each of you, to start with you, Branscombe, what kind of advice can you give somebody just starting out, with all your years of experience? If I'm somebody just out of college film school and just, trying to navigate the industry, I mean, what's the biggest piece of advice you can give somebody?
I say this a lot, and I'm sure my son is so tired of me saying this, but I think when my kids were young, I said the same thing. So here we go. Timing, chance, good fortune, persistence, talent. Timing, chance, good fortune, persistence, talent. When the time comes, you have to take a chance on yourself. If you hit a little good fortune, God bless you. Wherever your spiritual being comes from, you are blessed. Timing, chance, good fortune, persistence is going to keep everything held together. But the last piece of glue is talent. So I'm going to explain. Some of the most talented guys never take a chance on themselves. Yeah. I don't know why. They just don't do it. Yeah. They're waiting for somebody else to do it for them.
Right.
Take a chance on yourself, everybody out there. You can do it. If you get a little good fortune, procedure is a great thing to learn. What does procedure mean? You're going to learn it as you go after your dream.
Yeah.
And you know what? You just got to do it. Remember, your talent will keep it all together in the end, but you got to take some humanistic chances on yourself. And that's what I'd like to tell everybody out there.
That's incredible. And that's some of the best advice I've heard in the last 6 years on my podcast. So I appreciate that, Branscombe.
Thank you, sir.
Fairai, how about you?
I mean, I would second that too. I mean, I think my dad had, because I think my grandfather told that to my father, right? And so, but I think if you look at anybody who's successful, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, right? They all took chances on themselves, right? They were like, this is my time, or screw it, this isn't my time. This is just a time, and they just took a chance, and then they just worked their butts off, right? Like
They didn't start at the top, did they?
No, I mean, look, Jeff Bezos used to drive the boxes to the post office himself, right?
Right.
So, and he just worked hard. I think that's what my dad talks about. Persistence is just keep working at it. You fail. You can fail every day, and you just keep going at it. And I think he's right. And I think if when the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, I think when you're doing something and you're trying hard, then you just things start to line up at a certain point, right? You can call that coincidence, you can call that God, you can call that the universe. I don't know, but I think you just get some help from somewhere, right? If you're doing something, if you're doing the right things, there's something. I've just seen it happen in my own life, so I only know that to be true because I've experienced it, right? Because when I'm doing the right thing, then things start to fall into place. And when I'm doing the wrong thing, things start to fall apart, you know? So if you're just doing the right thing, like living your purpose, if you think you're a great singer, if you think you're a great actor, if you think, you know, or even if you don't think you're great, if you just love it and you just go after it and with everything you have. I mean, look at Ed Sheeran was not a great singer when he started out, right? And now he's probably the most successful singer on the planet, or one of them, right? It's just Kanye West is not a great singer. He's not even that great of a rapper, but he's like the most trending topic on Google right now, right? You just keep at it. You just
don't give up. Yeah.
And I think for me, I speak from my own experience. I love filmmaking. I love to tell stories. I love to tell stories to my family when I come home at night. I love to tell my children. I make up stories to my children every night before they go to bed. I just make stuff up, and I just love to do that. That's my thing. And so I think if you love it, then you have a chance at being successful. And you got to ask yourself what success is. Is it making, you know, my mentor, this guy, Brian Spicer, I asked him, he asked me a question while I was shadowing him on this show called Magnum PI. He said, "What is your goal in this business?" And I said, "My goal is to make movies until the day I die. That's my goal. And if I happen to do it at the highest levels, at the highest studio levels, then that would be amazing. But the thing is that I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm going to pay for it no matter what. It never has been about the money for me. It's just about the art and craft of making movies, you know, whether it's on my phone with my children, or if I have to spend a few $1,000s to make a short film just to do it, or if I'm writing children's books, or if I'm telling, you know, whatever it is. But I'm going to make movies to the day I die, no matter what. Even if I'm making money at it or not. And he said this really interesting thing to me. He said, "Well, then you're going to make it." And I kind of looked at him, and he didn't say anything else after that. And I kind of looked at him, and I said, "Well, is that just a fluff thing that you tell young filmmakers? Or whatever, is that just a fluff thing that you say, like you're gonna make it?" You know what I mean? And only like a couple of weeks ago, when I was in the shower, and I really realized what he meant by that. And what he meant was, if you love it, you're never going to give up.
Right.
And that's what's going to separate you from the rest of everybody else.
The people who quit. He probably saw you and him. So that's probably why he was confident that you're going to make it, because he saw you and him at one point.
That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it for money, like if you're doing it simply because you think, "Oh, I want to become Steven Spielberg, I want to be rich," then
the wrong reason.
When you hit failure, you're gonna give up.
Yeah.
You're gonna give up because we fail every single day. We're in the business of rejection. I ask so many people to make my movie and they're going to tell me no, but all I need is one person to say yes, right?
That's right.
I need 1 out of a million to say yes. And so that's the thing about it is if you really love it, if you really love to be a singer, if you really love to tell stories, if you really want to be a podcaster, whatever it is that you really love to do, then you will make it. Because when you fail time and time and time again, and when you get rejection or people say, hey, you can't do it, you suck, da da da, you're just going to take that and go, no, I'm going to show those.
That's fuel.
Right? And you're going to keep doing it. And if it's just about money or if it's just about something else, fame or anything like that, frankly, I don't know if those people will make it, because there are exceptions to the rule. There are.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily want to see those people's movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if I want to. You have to be crazy to do this, right? My dad had to be crazy. Can you imagine my dad telling my grandmother, I'm going to be an actor, or my grandfather, I'm going to be an actor? That has got to be one of the most asinine things you can ever tell somebody, because it's crazy. To say that you're going to make money making movies is almost crazy. To become a singer is crazy, right? You have to be crazy. You have to have a no plan B, a crazy belief in yourself that you can become great. And then,
it's like you're refusing to not be, right? I mean, if you have that passion and it's in your blood and you're refusing to give up, you have to make it at some point. You have to, because there's so many people that fall off the wayside and you're not. Eventually you're going to get your shot. And what drives me crazy is there's so many talented people out here that are this close to their dream and they don't realize it, and they give up, and they'll never realize that they were the next thing where they're going to hear a yes, or the next thing they're going to get the role that they've always wanted, or maybe the stunt job, whatever. It's just not giving up. And that's what I do. I mean, I've been doing this 6 years. I'm not on Sirius XM radio. That's my goal, to do something like that. I know I'm going to do it someday. I know I will, because I'm not giving up. That's the thing. So the advice you guys are both giving is exactly the advice that I would give anybody out there, is just don't give up. Keep doing it. If you're having fun and you're good at what you're doing and you continue to improve, then keep doing it. Eventually you're not doing it for the money. Obviously I'm not, but the thing is, eventually you'll get there, and all that other stuff will come. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So I appreciate that.
Possible, man. Anything. Look at what my dad said. My dad said something very smart, and you guys, your listeners should listen to this. Look at my dad. He does not look like a stereotypical person that was on shows before he started, right? There were not many people that looked like Branscombe Richmond, right? Yeah. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Was an Austrian bodybuilder. He wanted to be a leading man. It had never been done before. Yeah. Everybody said, you can't do it. It won't happen. It's not for you. You're the bad guy. You're the number 2. You're the number 3. You're the guy in the background, whatever. He said, no, I want to be the main guy. Right. You can hardly speak English. I'm going to be the main guy. Became the biggest star in the world. Yeah. Changed the game. Nothing is impossible. As long as you're living and breathing, anything is possible.
Absolutely. 100%. I got to ask you both, this is a deep question I ask everybody on my show, but to end the show, Branscombe, we'll start with you. But when it's all said and done, what do you want people to walk away with? You've already created a great legacy, but what do you want your legacy to be? When people think of Branscombe Richmond, when it's all said and done?
I just want everybody to be kind. Is that the one word answer? I mean,
yeah,
just be kind, man. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be the richest guy in the graveyard.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the richest guy in the graveyard. Don't be the richest guy in the graveyard.
Absolutely. That's well
said. Those are real simple 2 things I want to say: is be kind and share your wealth.
Share your wealth. 100%. How about you, Fairai?
I said it before. I'll say it again. Movies. It's much more than a business to me. Movies have literally saved my life. And they have been the great gift and medicine to keep me going and get me up out of bed in the morning and give me peace of mind when I go to bed at night. And so I'm super grateful for all the filmmakers that came before me that went that extra mile, that worked their butts off to try and get their vision across, to tell something truthful and to be honest and to create a piece of art that lived on and really helped people. And so I hope to be a part of that long legacy of, I hope that the things that I create can help future generations of children, of people to keep going on in life and to not give up and to give them hope and joy and make them feel less alone in the world. And that's really what it's all about for me.
Yeah, that's awesome, both of you guys. And just a huge honor to have you on the show again. Just I can't say that enough. Kangaroo Kids, guys, it's out right now. Make sure you go to Sunstream, SUNNSTREAM, Sunstream. Sign up for be a part of their app, and you'll be able to see so many great titles. And Kangaroo Kids, like I said, brand new. It's right on their front, of their app.
We got over 20,000 guys.
Yeah,
just want to
absolutely.
let you know.
So already it's
$5
successful.
a month. That's nothing. Less than a cup of coffee.
Yeah. So it's amazing, and like I say, I the $5 a month or whatever it is, it's so well worth it. And like you said, the movie amazing, and right now it's on Sunstream. And do you guys have down the road, is it gonna be on several other streaming platforms?
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, right now it's exclusive on Sunstream.
Right.
So and then it'll go foreign distribution, and it's going to play some theater. So let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Best of luck to both of you on that. And I'm a huge fan, guys. Your careers, and I know it's going to continue on. And anytime you guys want to come back on my show, you're always welcome. And again, it's been a huge honor. So thank you, and Happy New Year to both of you.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.